Sexy people of the internet, it is Dave, it is Duncan, back for another album review. For this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new release from Ohio alternative outfit, Red Temple Prey. The band's new album, Can It Get Any Worse, will be released on February 9th.
Hopefully not an indictment on the album.
Who knows, Duncan? Who knows?
Who knows? We'll find out at the end. Or you can use the chapter thing that says scores.
Oh, didn't it tell me?
Chapterise your things, don't you, on the old YouTubes?
Let me jump my head. Just wait and see. Columbus, Ohio's Red Temple Prey is a hauntingly powerful alternative band that brings a truly unique twist to a timeless genre. With their melancholic pop hooks and riff-heavy sound, the band sonically captures the weight and mood that could only be described as having a hangover on your deathbed. The band emerged initially as a side project in 2015 before reaching their current and now established lineup in 2021. 2022 saw the release of their debut EP, Violently Lush, and now the quartet are preparing to unveil their first full-length record, Can It Get Any Worse? Vocalist Josh comments, Can It Get Any Worse is not only our debut full-length, but to me personally my most proud work. There is so much heart and pain in this record. I've never been shy when it comes to expressing my feelings in my music, but I think with this specific record and band, I've allowed myself to be a little more honest than ever before. There's a lot of similar themes strung across the record, from falling in love to falling out of love, from death to sex. All of this, for me anyway, can be filed under, this is the end of our world. I've said it a million times before, but I only write love songs. I'm a lush, I can't help that. The album was engineered and mixed by Andy Nelson of Bricktop Studios and then mastered by Brad Boatwright of Audio
We
Siege.
love you. We love you, Brad.
Sexy son of a bitch. I first came across these guys about a month ago, something like that. I noticed on, I think it was Facebook or something, that they were supporting a band that we reviewed a couple of years back called Chrome Waves, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Then that led me on to check out one of their singles, which was Down the Drain, which I thought, I quite like the vibe of that. And then the last kind of check in the box was Andy Nelson, Brad Boatwright.
It's a safe pair of hands right there.
Yeah, I was like, we just literally checked out the new Null album, which is Andy and Brad both working together, and that was absolutely killer. So this one made sense. A lot of interesting pieces coming together for us to check out, but more intrigued to hear more of this one. So one of the kind of things I found a little bit strange about this was in all the kind of like press info and kind of details I could find online about the band, the word shoegaze never really comes up. And to be honest, it was literally the first thing that came to my head when I heard that first single. I was like, it's, reverb heavy, guitar tone, a lot of the vocal techniques, the rhythm of the album, it's all felt like it was kind of leaning towards that genre.
Yeah, Chrome Waves were a shoegazy inspired
well, they
band
were
as well,
they were black metal that went kind of shoegazy.
Black gaze, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I think they've went back the other way again, but
Oh God. Can't keep up with this.
Granted, there are other elements and styles at play here with this band, which are probably more on the alternative and indie side of things. But for me, I thought that the shoegaze part was definitely quite a kind of big part of their sound. I did check out their previous EP, Violently Lush, and it probably does sit more within the kind of alt rockier side of things. It's a little bit kind of crunchier in sound, and you can hear that this album is an evolvement of that, where they've brought on a bit more kind of atmosphere, a little bit more of the some kind of more ethereal tones. It's maybe slightly more intimate at times as well. My first kind of listen to this, I kind of just like kind of floated along with it, to be honest. Like, it wasn't an album that I was like constantly surprised by. The choices they've made in terms of the kind of structures and the arrangements are fairly consistent for this kind of style of kind of shoegazy alt rock. There's nothing here that takes like a wild detour into like unknown territory, or there's no there's no grind-infused mathcore breakdowns on this album, and that might be the album's greatest strength and weakness, if I'm honest. On the positives, I feel like you know exactly what you're getting from these guys, and they're very good at what they do. The guitar work sounds massive. It's very lush, very dreamy. It sounds like you're kind of like surrounding a nice kind of warm blanket of kind of fuzzy distortion, and I found that that's quite comforting to listen to. In the same way that I feel when I'm listening to something like Slow Crush or like the band Nothing or something like that. It's a vibe, and I think the production they've captured with Andy and Brad Boatwright just kind of accentuates the size and the richness of this album. Vocally, it sits in a very kind of dreamy, relaxing kind of place as well. Vocally, Josh reminds me a little bit of like Rivers Cuomo from Weezer, but kind of delivered with a more like Marshall Gallagher from Teenage Wrist, with that kind of like breathiness in his voice.
Yeah. I got shades of dude from Taproot.
All right, okay, yeah, I could see that as well. Yeah. But I think his tone works perfectly in conjunction with their style. It sounds very cohesive. The melodies are catchy when they need to be, but they also add in something a bit deeper and a bit darker when the album requires it. Tracks like Before the Bombs Go Off or Chlorine, I felt were very kind of like hook laden, and the choice of melody really leaves a little kind of imprint on you after it's finished. As I said, it's a very easy album to kind of just put on and kind of sink into. It's like kind of putting on like a feel good kind of indie movie and just kind of like switching your brain off. And I think there's always a time and a place for an album like that. You don't have to overthink it, and it's just kind of enjoying the vibe of it. On the other side of that, I feel like it's an album that doesn't really take huge risk or kind of diversion into something more unique or distinctive. And because of that, I think it becomes maybe a little bit predictable as it goes on. I do think they mix up the kind of dynamic range of the album when they strip things back, or bring in some acoustic guitars to add a bit more kind of texture. But the general flow and pace of the album doesn't really change all that much. And vocally as well, it follows a fairly kind of familiar blueprint. So as much as they sound, dreamy and very, soaked in reverb with nice harmonies, texturally it doesn't really change. I kept waiting on a moment where he might push his voice into something a bit rougher, just to kind of mix it up and maybe change the intensity of the track a little bit. It's not a bad listen at all. I've listened to this maybe 4 times. I didn't dislike it at all. I'd happily have this on in the background. As I said, I think it fits a certain mood. But I think it was maybe a touch light on moments that will really kind of stand out and stick with you afterwards. I think if you're a fan of shoegaze, the chances are you probably have heard similar stuff to this already. So if you're looking for something that really sounds different or is kind of cutting edge, then it might not be this album. But it's got a cool vibe. It's very kind of soothing to have on in the background. The production's great. It's a very, very inviting sound. It's clean and organic, and I don't have any complaints on that front. But overall, it was somewhere in the middle for me. What about yourself? What did you make of this one?
Dave, there's a lot to like about this album.
Oh, okay.
Like I was kind of I've obviously never heard them before, but within the first 30 seconds of Big Panic, the opening track, I was kind of confused a little bit because guitar-wise, there's something a bit gruffer there amongst that kind of spacey production.
Mm-hmm.
And then the vocals came in, and it was not the vocals I thought I was going to be getting at all. Right. And I mean that in the best possible way. I actually think the vocals in this are absolutely spot on. I love the way they weave. I think his lyrics are incredibly playful. And the tone that he delivers, which is kind of tongue-in-cheek throughout the entire album, where singing about bleak subjects and catchy melodies is a smart choice. But like very much like yourself, when it finished the first time, I realised how effortless the listen had been. Like I got to the end of it and I didn't feel like I'd had to really dig too deep or really stretch to listen to try and pick out some element that was going to be the kind of linchpin of my review. Like take this for example, then build a review around it, which is what I do in a lot of reviews. I find an element that really interests me and then I start to build my review around it. In the case of this one, it all just kind of flew over me in this kind of soothing, melancholic sort of fog. It just kind of has this woozy atmospheric feel to it. And it reminded me of a handful of bands. It's weird. It's got a kind of got a Deftonesy vibe, right? Without being as heavy as Deftones. It's got a kind of tongue-in-cheek playfulness of a Weezer album without sounding like Weezer. And at times the alt stuff reminds me of kind of mid-career Taproot, where they were really becoming very, very, very kind of indie alternative with just heavier sections. You put all that in together, it's hard to really see anything doesn't work here. It's a formula they reuse again and again, and the album itself is broken up enough with tracks where they go more ballady, or those quieter moments are more predominant before the next track comes in, and it's maybe like it has a bit more gruff to it. My issue was less that there wasn't any risks, it was more actually on the tempo of the album, which does fit that vibe, but it very much sticks within a confined kind of beats per minute. And there was certain tracks where I felt like if you went double time here or half time here, this would be really cool. And they've chose not to do that, and maybe that doesn't fit in with the vibe. Weirdly enough, his vocals not going any more aggressive than what he's doing is fine for me. I think we've got plenty of examples of people that can do that, and sometimes I think to myself, if I could sing like that, I'd want to sing like that more than scream. So I think that works really, really, really well for them. It is, from your point of view, and I get what you're saying, it's my complaint with the timing. It's like something that makes the track sound different or adds an additional layer. Yeah, I think it's very well recorded. It's very well produced. The tracks are effortless to listen to, which, to be honest, is a good thing. But like yourself, by the time I got to the end of it, I was struggling to remember any more than maybe one or two choruses on it, which is weird because it is a singy album full of melody. You would expect more hooks, more earworms in there. Tracks like Chlorine, for sure. Sirens has got a banger of a chorus. Before the Bombs Go Off, great chorus as well. And I think it finishes really strong as well. That kind of melancholia kind of just drifts right into the end. So I get a feeling that Red Temple Prey is the sort of band that I will use a lot this year as a kind of, right, I just need to decompress, or like one of those weeks where you've given me nothing but fucking death metal and I kind of need something just to like reflect on life. I don't think it's setting the genre on fire, and the problem is this album would come out maybe about five or 6 years ago, when the Shoegaze thing was maybe just starting to pick up a bit of pace. It would have sounded a lot more remarkable than it does now. That being said, it's a very well put together album. For a debut, I think they've got a great sense of identity. And it's hard to write an album which has 11 tracks, 35 minutes long, and it's not boring. Even though they don't do any of those elements we're talking about, it's not a boring listen at all. It's a very, very, very easy listen. So yeah, a kind of conflicting feeling on this one. I feel like I should be praising it more. I feel like I should be giving it a higher grade, but ultimately it lands where it lands.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. Let's give it a grade for this new album. I am a 3 out of 5 on this one. I feel like there's a lot of stuff they do really well, and the individual elements are cool. I just kind of wanted something more from it to give me that kind of more memorable moments from the album. It's a very easy listen. It's something that I could stick on the background and just kind of have on to chill out. It works for that. I don't know how much I'll come back to it because I feel like there are bands within this style that do it a bit better at this moment. But it is a debut, so the only way is up for these guys. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they do next. What about yourself? What are you thinking?
I'm exactly the same as you. 3's what I was coming in. I actually thought I was going to come in lower than you. So there we go. I will take the mini win. Not that means anything at all. Columbus, Ohio has a Brewdog.
Oh, does it?
Brewdog Hotel.
All right.
Not that I'm saying we should go across and visit, but I have a couple of friends that live there, so we have a place to crash, Dave.
Good to know. Red Temple Prey, Can It Get Any Worse, out on February 9th. Links below to the band, to the pre-order, Bandcamp and all that sort of stuff. Check it out. Have a listen, see what you think. Let us know. Stick some comments in. That is our review. Thank you for checking out. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.